Jake Morrison gripped his plasma rifle as the drop pod shook violently. Around him, 49 other human soldiers sat strapped into their seats, faces set with determination. They were falling through the purple sky of Zarthena, heading straight into a war zone. The planet below was under attack. The Kresh had invaded 3 days ago. These alien bugs were massive, each one the size of a car, with sharp claws that could cut through steel. They had already destroyed half the capital city and were now attacking the royal palace. Jake was a captain in the Terran Coalition military. He had fought in 7 battles across 3 different star systems. He was 32 years old, born in Colorado, and had spent the last 10 years of his life protecting human colonies from threats. This mission was different, though. This time they were saving aliens, not humans. The Velkari were Earth's allies. The treaty was only 2 years old, but it was solid. When the Kresh attacked, the Velkari Queen had sent a distress call. The Coalition had responded immediately. Jake's unit was chosen for the rescue mission because they were the best ground fighters in the fleet. The drop pod slammed into the ground hard enough to rattle Jake's teeth. The doors blew open, and he charged out, rifle up and ready. The plaza, around the palace, was chaos. Dead Velkari soldiers lay everywhere. Their bodies were tall and thin, with skin that glowed with soft light even in death. 3 Kresh warriors were tearing through the palace gates. Jake didn't hesitate. He opened fire, and the plasma bolts burned through the first bug's shell. It screamed and fell. His team spread out behind him, taking positions and firing in disciplined bursts. Lieutenant Amy Price led 10 soldiers to the left. Sergeant Dan Cole took another 10 to the right. Jake pushed forward with the rest, moving toward the palace entrance. The Kresh were fast and deadly, but humans had better weapons and better tactics. They fought their way inside. The palace was made of living crystal that glowed from within. It was beautiful even as it was being destroyed. Scorch marks covered the walls. Bodies of Velkari guards littered the hallways. Jake felt anger rise in his chest. These people had asked for help, and he would not let them down. His helmet display showed a map of the palace. The throne room was deep inside, past 3 more corridors. Intel said the Queen was making her last stand there. Jake pushed his team harder, running now, shooting any Kresh they encountered. They burst into the throne room, and Jake saw her immediately. Queen Lyravel stood alone in the center of the vast chamber. She was nearly 7 feet tall, with skin that shifted colors like a mood ring. Right now she blazed red and gold, colors that even Jake could tell meant anger and defiance. She held a weapon that looked like a sword made of pure energy, and she was fighting 3 Kresh at once. She was incredible to watch. She moved like water, impossibly fast and graceful. The energy blade cut through Kresh armor like it was paper. But she was tired. Jake could see it in the way she stumbled slightly after each strike. The Kresh were wearing her down, and they knew it. Jake made a split-second decision. He charged forward and tackled one of the Kresh from the side. His armor's strength boosters kicked in, and he actually knocked the massive bug off balance. It crashed into a crystal pillar, and Jake rolled away, firing his rifle point-blank into its head. His team swarmed the other 2 Kresh. Plasma fire filled the air. The bugs tried to fight back, but they were surrounded now. Within 30 seconds, all 3 were dead, their bodies leaking green blood onto the crystal floor. Jake stood up and turned to face the Queen. She was breathing hard, her skin now shifting to blue colors. Her eyes were huge and violet, with no white or pupil, just pools of purple that seemed to look right through him. She was alien in every way, but somehow also beautiful. "You came," she said. Her voice was musical, with strange harmonics that made it sound like 2 people speaking at once. She spoke perfect English, though. "I did not think your people would risk so much for us." "We honor our word," Jake said simply. He was a soldier, not a diplomat. He didn't need fancy words. The Queen studied him for a long moment. Her skin rippled with colors he couldn't identify. Then she nodded. "I am Lyravel, Queen of the Velkari people. I owe you my life, human warrior. What is your name? I'm Captain Jake Morrison, ma'am. We need to get you out of here. My ship is waiting in orbit. The palace is lost then, she said softly. Her skin flashed dark purple, which Jake guessed was sadness. Yes, ma'am. But you're alive. You can rebuild. She straightened her shoulders, and the sad purple faded. You are correct. My people need their queen. I will come with you. We flex 9. We flex 9. Under Fiverr life. The trip back through the palace was harder than the trip in. More Kresh had entered the building, and they were everywhere. Jake's team fought constantly, covering the queen as they moved. She fought beside them when needed, her energy blade cutting through enemies with deadly precision. Jake found himself watching her even in the middle of combat. She was a warrior like him, he realized. She knew how to fight, and she didn't hesitate. When one of his soldiers, a young private named Chris Bennett, went down with a wounded leg, the queen was the one who pulled him to safety, while Jake provided cover fire. They made it to the extraction point, a landing pad on the palace roof. A human shuttle was waiting, its guns blazing to keep the Kresh away. Jake's team loaded onto the shuttle quickly. The queen was the last to board, pausing to look back at her burning city. I will return, she said quietly. This is not over. No, ma'am, Jake agreed. It's not. The shuttle lifted off, and Jake finally allowed himself to relax slightly. The mission was a success. They had saved the queen. Around him, his soldiers were checking weapons and treating minor wounds. The queen sat in a jump seat, her hands folded in her lap, her skin a calm blue color now. She was looking at him again. Jake met her gaze and felt something strange. A tingle at the back of his neck. He dismissed it as adrenaline from the fight. He had no way of knowing that something had already started. Something that would change his entire life. The Velkari had unique biology. Their skin didn't just show emotion. It absorbed information from the air around them, reading chemical signals and genetic markers. During the battle, when Jake had fought beside the queen, when they had touched briefly as he helped her over debris, her body had been analyzing him. It had found him compatible. More than compatible. Perfect. The queen's skin flickered gold for just a moment. A color that meant a decision had been made. But Jake didn't notice. He was busy making his mission report to the fleet commander over the radio. He didn't know that in 3 months, he would be called to a meeting that would turn his world upside down. He didn't know that the queen sitting across from him was already carrying his child, conceived through a biological process humans didn't understand. All he knew was that he had done his job. He had saved a life and honored Earth's alliance. For a soldier, that was enough. The shuttle climbed through the purple atmosphere toward the stars, carrying a human warrior and an alien queen whose fates were now bound together in ways neither of them could yet imagine. 3 months had passed since the battle on Sarthena. Jake Morrison had returned to his regular duties with the Coalition fleet. He had been promoted to major and given command of a full battalion. Life had gone back to normal, or as normal as life could be when you spent most of your time traveling between star systems. He was surprised when he received orders to report to the diplomatic station orbiting Earth. The message said it was urgent, but gave no other details. Jake packed his gear and caught the next transport ship home. The diplomatic station was a massive structure that floated above Earth's blue and white surface. It was where humans met with alien species to discuss treaties and trade agreements. Jake had been there once before, years ago, for a brief ceremony. He didn't like the place much. Too many politicians, and not enough straight talk. Ambassador Helen Brooks met him at the docking bay. She was a stern woman in her 50s with gray hair pulled back in a tight bun. She didn't smile as she shook his hand. Major Morrison, thank you for coming so quickly. We have a situation that requires your immediate attention. What kind of situation, ma'am? Jake asked, as they walked through the gleaming white corridors. One that's easier to show than explain, Helen said. She led him to a private conference room and opened the door. Jake stepped inside and stopped cold. Queen Lyravel was there, sitting at a long table. Her skin was showing purple and silver patterns that seemed to shimmer in the light. Next to her were two other Valkyrie wearing formal robes. On the human side of the table sat a woman in a white medical coat who looked nervous. "Captain Morrison," the Queen said, then corrected herself. "Major Morrison now, I am told. Congratulations on your promotion." "Thank you, Your Majesty," Jake said automatically. He was confused. Why would the Queen want to see him? Is there a problem? Another crash attack? "No, nothing like that," Liravel said. She stood up, and Jake noticed something different about her. Her midsection seemed slightly fuller than he remembered. She placed one hand on her stomach in a gesture that made Jake's blood run cold even before she spoke. "Major Morrison, I am with child. You are the father." The room spun. Jake grabbed the back of a chair to steady himself. "That's not possible. We never. We didn't." The woman in the medical coat stepped forward. "Major Morrison, I'm Dr. Lisa Ward. I specialize in alien biology. What the Queen is telling you is true, and I can explain how." Jake sat down heavily. "Please do, because this makes no sense." Dr. Ward pulled up a holographic display showing Valkyrie biology. "The Valkyrie are unique among all species we've encountered. They don't reproduce the way humans do. Their process involves genetic compatibility assessment. When a Valkyrie female, especially a queen, is in close proximity to a potential mate during times of high stress or danger, her body automatically analyzes that individual." "Analyzes how?" Jake asked. "Through their skin. It reads chemical signals, pheromones, even genetic markers in the air. If the individual is deemed highly compatible, the Valkyrie female's body can initiate reproduction. It doesn't require physical intimacy as humans understand it. The genetic material is absorbed and processed, and a child is conceived." Jake stared at the display, his mind racing. "So, when I was fighting beside the Queen, when we touched during the evacuation, her body was evaluating you," Dr. Ward confirmed. "And it found you to be the most compatible mate it had ever encountered. This is incredibly rare. Major. Valkyrie queens can go their entire lives without finding someone compatible enough to trigger this response." Jake looked at Liravel. She met his gaze steadily, her skin showing honest blue colors. "I did not plan this, Jake Morrison. I did not even know it had happened until several weeks later, when I began showing symptoms. My doctors confirmed it. I carry your child. The child will be unique." One of the Valkyrie advisors spoke up. He was an old male with faded skin patterns. "Half human, half Valkyrie. Such a hybrid has never existed in all our history. The child will be heir to the throne, as Queen Liravel has no other offspring." Jake's head was pounding. "Wait. Heir to the throne? You're telling me my kid is going to be royalty?" "Class. Yes," Liravel said simply. "More than that. The child will be a bridge between our peoples, a living symbol of the alliance between Earth and Velkar." Ambassador Brooks, who had been quiet until now, leaned forward. "Major Morrison, both Earth's government and the Valkyrie Council have been informed of the situation. This is unprecedented. But it's also an opportunity. A biological union between our species could strengthen our alliance in ways that no treaty ever could." Jake felt anger rising. "So this is political now? My child is going to be used as a propaganda tool?" "Not propaganda," Liravel said firmly. Her skin flashed red, the anger color. "Our child will be proof that different worlds can create something beautiful together. That is not propaganda. That is hope." The anger drained out of Jake as quickly as it had come. He looked at the Queen. Really looked at her. She was scared, he realized. Under all the royal dignity and the formal speech, she was terrified. This situation was as unexpected for her as it was for him. "How long?" he asked quietly. Velkari gestation is 6 of your months total. I am 3 months along, halfway through, and the child will be healthy? The differences between our species won't cause problems? Dr. Ward shook her head. All our tests show the pregnancy is progressing normally. The Velkari ability to incorporate compatible genetic material is sophisticated. The child appears to be developing perfectly, with traits from both species. Jake stood and walked to the window. Earth hung in space below, blue and green and beautiful. He had spent years fighting to protect that planet and the people on it. Now he was going to be a father to a child who was only half human. A child who would inherit an alien throne. It was insane. It was impossible. It was happening, whether he liked it or not. He turned back to face Liravel. I want to be clear about something. I didn't choose this. Neither of us did. But that child didn't ask to be born into this crazy situation either. No, Liravel agreed. The child is innocent in all of this. I won't abandon my responsibility, Jake said firmly. I don't know what kind of father I'll be to a half-alien kid, and I don't know anything about Velkari culture or how to raise royalty. For the first time since he had entered the room, Liravel's skin flashed bright gold. Dr. Ward had told him gold meant joy or happiness. The Queen stood and walked over to him, moving with that impossible grace her people had. Thank you, Jake Morrison. I did not know if you would accept this. I feared you might reject the child. Reject me. I am grateful for your honor. What happens now? Jake asked. Ambassador Brooks pulled up a schedule on her datapad. You'll be reassigned to this station for the duration of the pregnancy. We've prepared quarters for you near the Velkari Embassy suite. You and the Queen will need to meet regularly to discuss preparations for the child. There are also security concerns. Security concerns? Jake's soldier instincts kicked in immediately. Not everyone is happy about this situation, one of the Velkari advisors said grimly. There are factions among my people who see this child as a contamination of the royal bloodline, and there are humans who fear alien influence over Earth's future. The child will have enemies before it is even born. Jake's jaw tightened. Then we'll protect it. Whatever it takes. Liravel placed a hand on his arm. Her touch was warm and sent a strange tingle through him. We will protect our child together, as warriors who fought side by side. That has not changed. Over the next hour, they discussed practical details, living arrangements, medical care, security protocols, cultural education for the child. It was overwhelming. But Jake took notes and asked questions. This was a mission now. The most important mission of his life. When the meeting finally ended, most people filed out. Jake found himself alone with Liravel for a moment. She looked tired. He noticed. Her skin was paler than it had been during the battle. Are you okay? He asked. The pregnancy is difficult, she admitted. Velkari births are always challenging, but this one more so because of the genetic mixing. I am monitored constantly. If you need anything, you tell me, Jake said. I mean it. Anything, she smiled. A very human gesture that looked strange on her alien features. I believe you, Jake Morrison. I think perhaps the child chose well. When it chose you, as a father, the child chose me? The reproductive process responds to more than just genetics. It responds to character, to strength of spirit. My body chose you because you are worthy. I am beginning to understand why. She left before Jake could respond, gliding out of the room with her advisors following. Jake stood alone, looking out at Earth, trying to process everything that had just happened. He was going to be a father. To an alien child. A child who would inherit 2 worlds and face dangers from both. It was the craziest thing that had ever happened to him. And somehow, standing there, looking at his home planet, Jake felt the first stirrings of something he hadn't expected. Excitement. He was going to be a dad. Jake settled into his new quarters on the diplomatic station, with mixed feelings. The rooms were nice, better than anything he'd had in the military, but they felt empty and strange. He was used to barracks and battleships, not fancy diplomatic housing. His quarters were connected to the Velkari embassy wing by a private hallway. The arrangement made sense for security, but it felt weird to be living so close to alien royalty. He kept expecting guards to stop him every time he walked through, but they just nodded respectfully. The first week was awkward. Jake and Liravel met every morning to discuss plans for the child. They sat in a formal conference room and talked about education, security, medical care. It was all very proper and distant. The queen was polite but reserved, every bit the ruler she had been trained to be. Jake tried to learn about Velkari culture. He read reports and watched videos about their history and customs. The Velkari had been a peaceful species for thousands of years, focused on art and science. They were telepathic to some degree, able to sense emotions in others through their color-changing skin. They valued honor above all else. The more he learned, the more he respected them. And the more he realized how different they were from humans. Velkari didn't understand concepts like privacy or personal space the way humans did. They lived in large family groups and shared everything. The idea of raising a child alone was foreign to them. One morning, Jake arrived at the conference room to find Liravel looking exhausted. Her skin was pale yellow, a color he had learned meant sickness or pain. "Are you all right?" he asked immediately, forgetting formality. "The morning sickness is severe today," she said quietly. "Dr. Ward says it is normal. But it is unpleasant." Jake frowned. "Have you eaten anything? I cannot keep food down. Wait here." Jake left and went to the station's cafeteria. He came back with plain crackers and ginger tea, things that had helped his sister when she was pregnant years ago. "Try these. They might help." Liravel looked at the offerings with surprise. Her skin flickered between several colors Jake couldn't identify. "It's nothing," Jake said, feeling embarrassed. "Just something humans do for pregnant women." She ate the crackers slowly and sipped the tea. After a few minutes, her skin started to brighten back to its normal blue tones. "It helps. Thank you, Jake." After that day, things changed between them. The formal distance started to fade. They moved their meetings from the conference room to the garden dome attached to the Velkari embassy. It was filled with plants from Liravel's homeworld, strange crystalline flowers that chimed softly when solar winds passed through the station's shields. They talked about more than just practical matters. Liravel told him stories about growing up as a princess, the pressure and expectations. Jake told her about his childhood in Colorado, about joining the military to escape a dead-end town. They were from different worlds in every way, but they found common ground in their shared sense of duty. "I was bred to rule," Liravel said one afternoon as they sat among the chiming flowers. "My parents were chosen for genetic compatibility by the council. I was raised from birth knowing I would be queen. I never had a choice in my future." "That sounds lonely," Jake said. "It was. I had tutors and advisors, but no real friends. Other Velkari feared me or wanted something from me. I learned to keep everyone at a distance." She looked at her growing belly, visible now through her flowing robes. "I am afraid. I do not know how to be close to anyone. I worry I will fail this child." Jake was quiet for a moment. "You know, my dad left when I was 6. My mom raised me and my sister alone. She worked 2 jobs and was always tired, but she never gave up on us. She wasn't perfect, but she loved us. That's what mattered." "You think love is enough?" Liravel asked. "I think it's a good start. And you're not alone in this. I'm here." Her skin flashed warm gold, the happiness color. Over the following weeks, Jake noticed that she showed gold around him more often. He found himself looking forward to their daily meetings, enjoying her company in ways he hadn't expected. The pregnancy was progressing well, according to Dr. Ward. The baby was growing faster than a human child would. Normal for Velkari. But something else was happening too. Something the doctors hadn't fully explained. Jake started to notice strange things. Sometimes he would wake up in the middle of the night feeling worried or scared, and he would go to check on Liravel, only to find her having nightmares. Other times he would know she was happy before he even saw her, feeling the emotion like it was his own. He asked Dr. Ward about it during a checkup. The doctor looked uncomfortable. "There's something called the resonance," she explained. "It's a Velkari phenomenon that occurs between parents when a child is conceived. A mental and emotional bond forms. It gets stronger as the pregnancy progresses. Why didn't anyone tell me about this before? We weren't sure it would happen, given that you're human. This is all new territory. But yes, you and the Queen are bonding. By the time the child is born, you'll be able to sense each other's emotions clearly, maybe even share thoughts." Jake wasn't sure how he felt about that. It seemed invasive. But when he mentioned it to Liravel, she looked relieved. "I have been feeling the resonance too," she admitted. "I can sense when you are near, when you are troubled. I thought perhaps I was imagining it." "Does it bother you?" Jake asked. "No," she said softly. Her skin showed patterns of pink and gold that he was learning meant affection. "It is comforting, actually. I do not feel so alone." The 4th month of pregnancy brought new challenges. There was an assassination attempt. A Velkari extremist tried to poison Liravel's food, claiming the hybrid child was an abomination. The guards caught him, but it shook both of them. Jake insisted on personally checking all of Liravel's meals after that. He moved his quarters even closer to hers and doubled the security patrols. The Queen didn't argue. She seemed shaken by how much hatred some of her own people had for the unborn child. One evening, Jake found her crying in the garden. It was the first time he had seen her lose her composure. Her skin was stormy, gray, and dark purple, colors of grief and fear. "He was one of my father's advisors," she said when Jake sat beside her. "I have known him my entire life. He called our child a monster. He said I was betraying my blood." Jake put his arm around her shoulders without thinking. She leaned into him, and he could feel the resonance humming between them, her pain mixing with his anger. "Our child is not a monster," Jake said firmly. "Our child is going to be amazing. Human strength and Velkari intelligence. The best of both worlds." "You truly believe that?" she asked, looking up at him with those huge violet eyes. "I do. I've been reading about your people, learning your history. You've survived for thousands of years by adapting, by being flexible. This child is the ultimate adaptation, a bridge between species." Liravel's skin slowly brightened to gold. "When did you start calling it our child instead of the child?" Jake realized she was right. Somewhere over the past few weeks, his perspective had shifted. "I guess when I started thinking of us as a team. We're in this together, right?" "Yes," she said quietly. Together, they sat in silence for a while, listening to the crystal flowers chime. Jake became aware that he was still holding her, that she fit against his side like she belonged there. The resonance made her emotions clear to him. Gratitude, affection, trust, and something deeper that neither of them was ready to name. Yet, "Jake," she said eventually, "there is something you should know about the resonance. It will become permanent after the birth. We will be bonded for life. If you wish to distance yourself before that happens, I will understand." Jake thought about it seriously. A permanent bond to an alien queen, feeling her emotions for the rest of his life. It should have terrified him. But when he looked at Liravel, at the mother of his child, at this strong and scared and wonderful person, he found he didn't mind the idea. "I'm not going anywhere," he said. "This is my family now. You and the baby. Whatever that means, I'm committed." Her skin erupted in brilliant gold and silver, joy and love mixed together. She turned to face him fully, taking both his hands in hers. "You have given me a gift I never expected. Jake Morrison, not just a child, but hope, companionship. I was alone my entire life, until you came. "You're not alone anymore," Jake promised. She leaned forward and rested her forehead against his, a Valkyrie gesture of deep trust and affection. Jake closed his eyes and felt the resonance strengthen, their emotions blending until he couldn't tell where his feelings ended and hers began. He was falling for her. For this alien queen who had accidentally chosen him as a father, who was brave and vulnerable and beautiful in ways that had nothing to do with appearance. It was crazy and unexpected and absolutely real. When they pulled apart, Liravel's skin was glowing so brightly with happiness that the crystal flowers seemed dim in comparison. And Jake knew that whatever challenges lay ahead, whatever enemies their child would face, they would handle it together. The human warrior and the alien queen, bound by a child neither had planned but both now wanted more than anything. The 6th month arrived, with unexpected chaos. The Kresh launched a massive attack on Valkyrie border colonies, the biggest offensive since the invasion of Zarthena. Queen Liravel insisted on coordinating the defense, despite being heavily pregnant. Jake tried to argue with her. "You should be resting. The baby could come any day now." My people are dying," Liravel said, her skin flashing determined red. "I will not hide while they fight." So Jake found himself in the war room beside her, watching holographic displays of fleet movements and battle reports. Liravel commanded her forces with skill, moving ships and giving orders like the warrior queen she was. Jake provided tactical advice from his experience fighting the Kresh. They worked together smoothly, the resonance letting them anticipate each other's thoughts. The battle had been raging for 6 hours when Liravel suddenly gasped. Her skin flashed pure white, a color Jake had learned meant intense pain. She grabbed the edge of the tactical display table, her knuckles turning pale. "Lyra?" Jake was at her side instantly. "The child," she managed through gritted teeth. Dr. Ward rushed into the room, apparently already alerted by the medical monitors Liravel wore constantly. "We need to get her to the medical bay immediately." Jake scooped Liravel up in his arms, ignoring her weak protest that she could walk. He carried her through the station's corridors at a run, his heart pounding. This was it. His child was about to be born. The medical bay was ready. Valkyrie doctors worked alongside human medical staff, a team that had been preparing for this moment for months. They laid Liravel on a special table designed for Valkyrie physiology. "You should wait outside," one of the Valkyrie doctors said to Jake. "No," Liravel said firmly, reaching for Jake's hand. "He stays. I need him." Jake took her hand and felt the resonance surge between them. Her pain flooded through the connection, and he gritted his teeth against it. "I'm not going anywhere." The birth process was unlike anything human. Liravel's body began to glow from within, her skin showing patterns of light that pulsed in rhythm with her breathing. Dr. Ward explained that this was normal, that the child was responding to its mother's bioelectric field. "The baby is coming out in a membrane cocoon," Dr. Ward told Jake. "It's how Valkyrie births work. The child will be conscious and aware from the first moment." Hours passed. Jake never let go of Liravel's hand. He felt every contraction through the resonance, every wave of pain. It was agony, but he endured it because she was enduring it. They were in this together. Finally, with a cry that was part human scream and part Valkyrie harmonic song, Liravel gave birth. The child emerged wrapped in a glowing membrane that pulsed with soft light. The doctors carefully peeled the membrane away, and Jake saw his daughter for the first time. His breath caught in his throat. She was perfect. Her skin had the bioluminescent quality of the Valkyrie, but with a warmer tone, almost golden. Her features were a beautiful blend of both species, delicate but strong. Those eyes focused on Jake with startling intelligence. The baby made a soft sound and reached for him. In that moment, Jake felt the resonance explode into something new and overwhelming. It wasn't just Liravel he was connected to anymore. His daughter was there too. A bright, curious presence in his mind. He could feel her emotions. Wonder, curiosity, love. His newborn daughter loved him already, recognized him as her father. "Can I hold her?" Jake asked, his voice rough with emotion. The doctors carefully placed the baby in his arms. She was lighter than a human infant, but felt solid and real. She looked up at him with those blue eyes, and her skin flickered through several colors before settling on happy gold. "Hello there," Jake whispered. "I'm your dad." Liravel was crying, her skin showing every color in rapid succession. "She is beautiful. Our daughter is so beautiful. What do we name her?" Jake asked, unable to look away from the tiny face. "Tradition says the mother names the child," Liravel said weakly. She was exhausted, but her skin glowed with joy. "But we are making new traditions. What name would you give her?" Jake thought of his grandmother, a tough woman who had raised 5 kids during hard times and never complained. "Emma. It means whole. Complete. Emma. Lyra. Morrison." "Emma," Liravel repeated, testing the name. "Emma Liravel Morrison. A name of 2 worlds. It is perfect." The baby, Emma, made a cooing sound. Her skin pulsed with gentle light, and Jake felt her contentment through the resonance. She was happy, safe, loved. That was all that mattered. Dr. Ward ran tests over the next few hours. Emma was healthy and developing faster than a human baby would. She was already responding to voices, focusing on faces, and showing incredible awareness for a newborn. "She's extraordinary," Dr. Ward said with awe. "The genetic combination is perfect. She has human resilience and Valkyrie mental acuity. I've never seen anything like it." Ambassador Brooks arrived with news from the battlefield. "The Kresh offensive has been repelled. The Valkyrie fleet fought brilliantly. And Major Morrison, your old unit, sent congratulations." News of the birth reached the front lines and inspired quite a rallying cry. "What are they calling her?" Jake asked, still holding Emma carefully. "The warrior's daughter. The bridge between stars. The hope of 2 worlds." Brooks smiled. "She's already a symbol, whether you want her to be or not." Over the following days, Jake barely left the medical bay. He helped care for Emma, learning how to feed her the special formula that combined human and Valkyrie nutrients. He changed her diapers, though Valkyrie babies needed changing far less often than human ones. He sang her songs from his childhood and watched as her skin flickered with colors in response to his voice. Emma grew visibly each day. By the end of the first week, she was the size of a 3-month-old human baby. Her intelligence was stunning. She already recognized both her parents and showed different emotional responses to each of them. When Jake held her, she was curious and playful, her skin showing bright, excited colors. When Liravel held her, she was calm and peaceful, content. The resonance between all 3 of them was complete now. Jake could sense both Liravel and Emma at all times, feel their emotions, know when they needed him. It was overwhelming at first, but he adapted quickly. It felt right. Natural. Like this was how family was always meant to be. Liravel recovered quickly from the birth. Valkyrie physiology was efficient that way. But something had changed between her and Jake. The bond was permanent now, sealed by Emma's birth. They could feel each other's love clearly through the resonance, no longer able to hide their feelings. One evening, while Emma slept in her specially designed crib that glowed with soft light, Jake and Liravel sat together in the recovery room. They hadn't talked about their relationship, both too focused on the baby. "Jake," Liravel said quietly, "I need to tell you something." He turned to her, sensing nervousness through the resonance. "What is it?" "I know this started as something neither of us chose. An accident of biology and circumstance. But somewhere along the way, it became a choice for me. I choose this. I choose you. I choose our family." Jake felt his heart swell. "I was going to say the same thing. I love you, Lyra. I don't know when it happened, but it's real. You're not just Emma's mother to me. You're everything." Her skin erupted in the most brilliant display of gold and pink he had ever seen. colors of joy and romantic love mixed together. She leaned forward and kissed him, the first real kiss they had shared. It was awkward at first, their different physiologies making it strange, but it was also perfect. The resonance sang between them, their emotions blending into something beautiful and complete. Love, trust, joy, hope, all mixed together. Emma woke up and made a happy gurgling sound. Through the resonance, Jake felt her approval. Even as a baby, she understood that her parents loved each other, and it made her feel safe. Jake picked up his daughter and brought her to Liravel. They sat together, a family of 3, human and Velkari, and something new that was both and neither. Emma's skin glowed gold as she looked between her parents, her blue eyes bright with intelligence. "We did it," Jake said softly. "We made something beautiful." "We did," Liravel agreed. Outside the medical bay, the galaxy was still at war. The creche still threatened. Extremists on both sides still hated what Emma represented. There would be challenges ahead, dangers and difficulties neither of them could imagine. But in that moment, holding his daughter and the woman he loved, Jake felt nothing but hope. The human warrior had fathered an heir with the alien queen, and in doing so, had found something he never knew he needed: a family, a purpose, a future worth fighting for. 5 years had passed since Emma's birth. The galaxy had changed in ways no one could have predicted. The war with the creche ended, not through complete victory, but through negotiated peace. The alliance between humanity and the Velkari had grown so strong that even the aggressive creche realized they couldn't win against the combined forces. At the center of that alliance stood Emma Morrison, now a bright and energetic 5-year-old who looked like she was 7. She had her father's blue eyes and determined spirit, combined with her mother's grace and intelligence. Her skin could shift colors like any Velkari, showing her emotions for everyone to see. She spoke both English and the musical Velkari language perfectly, switching between them without thought. Jake Morrison was no longer Major Morrison. He had resigned his military commission 3 years ago to take on a new role created specifically for him: Royal Consort to Queen Liravel. It had been a difficult decision, leaving the military after 15 years of service. But his family needed him, and that mattered more than rank or career. He and Liravel had bonded in a formal ceremony 2 years after Emma's birth, combining human marriage traditions with Velkari pairing rituals. The ceremony had been broadcast across both civilizations, watched by billions. Jake had felt awkward in the formal robes, but when he saw Liravel walking toward him, her skin glowing with love, everything else faded away. Now they lived on Xardina, in the rebuilt Crystal Palace. The planet had recovered from the creche invasion. The scars were still there, but new growth covered the old wounds. The palace gleamed in the purple sunlight, more beautiful than before. Jake stood on the balcony overlooking the palace gardens, watching Emma play below. She was running with a group of children, both human and Velkari. Her best friend was a human boy named Kevin Chen, whose parents worked at the Earth Embassy. Her other close friend was a young Velkari girl named Sira Then, daughter of one of the palace advisors. The children were playing some complicated game that seemed to involve both human tag and a Velkari mental puzzle. Emma's skin flashed bright colors as she ran and laughed, completely comfortable in both cultures. "She is happy," Liravel said, joining Jake on the balcony. After 5 years of marriage, she still took his breath away. Her skin showed content blue with flickers of gold when she looked at him, colors that meant peace and love. "She is," Jake agreed, putting his arm around his wife. "Though I got a message from her tutor today. Apparently, she's been asking about the Coalition Military Academy." Liravel smiled. "She wants to be a warrior like her father. And a leader like her mother," Jake added. "She's got both our stubborn streaks. The academy will not accept students for another 6 years. She is too young to worry about such things. Try telling her that. Yesterday she was practicing hand-to-hand combat moves with the guards. She's 5 years old and she already knows more fighting techniques than most adults. Liravel's skin flickered with amused gold. She also spent 3 hours last night studying Valkyrie philosophy with the scholars. She contains multitudes, as the human saying goes. Jake watched his daughter below, pride swelling in his chest. Emma had exceeded every expectation. She was smarter than any 5-year-old had a right to be, able to solve complex problems and understand concepts that would stump most adults. But she was also kind, empathetic, always trying to help others. Wherever she went, prejudice seemed to fade. Human children, who had been taught to fear aliens, played with Valkyrie without hesitation when Emma was around. Valkyrie, who had opposed the alliance, found their hearts softening when they met the bright, happy child who represented the best of both species. "I have news," Liravel said, her skin showing patterns of nervous excitement. Jake turned to her, reading the emotions through their resonance bond before she spoke. Joy, fear, hope, all mixed together. His eyes widened. "You're pregnant again." "Yes. Dr. Ward confirmed it this morning. 3 months along." Jake pulled her into a tight hug, feeling her happiness blend with his own through the bond. "That's wonderful. Does Emma know?" "Not yet. I wanted to tell you first." Liravel leaned back to look at him. "Are you happy, Jake? I know we did not plan this. We didn't plan Emma either, and she's the best thing that ever happened to me." "Of course I'm happy." He paused. "Though I should probably learn more about Valkyrie child-rearing before this one arrives. I'm still figuring things out with Emma." "You are an excellent father," Liravel said firmly. "Emma adores you. She told me yesterday that when she grows up, she wants to find someone just like you." Jake laughed. "Poor kid. Good luck finding another human willing to accidentally father a child with an alien queen. This child will not be an accident," Liravel said softly. "This child is chosen. By both of us. A sibling for Emma. Conceived in love." They stood together on the balcony, watching Emma below. The little girl looked up and waved at them, her skin flashing happy gold. Through the resonance, Jake felt her joy at seeing her parents together. That evening, they told Emma about the new baby at dinner. They ate in the family dining room, a smaller space than the grand hall used for state occasions. It was just the three of them, sharing a meal that combined human and Valkyrie dishes. Emma's eyes went wide when Liravel made the announcement. "I'm going to be a big sister?" "Yes, darling," Liravel confirmed. Emma's skin cycled through a dozen colors in rapid succession, showing her complex emotions. Excitement, nervousness, happiness, all mixed together. "Will the baby be like me? Half human and half Valkyrie?" "Yes," Jake said. "You'll have a little brother or sister in a few months. Can I teach them things? Like how to speak both languages and how to play with human and Valkyrie kids?" "Of course," Liravel said, her skin warm with maternal pride. "You will be the perfect big sister." Emma beamed, her skin glowing so brightly with happiness that the room seemed to light up. "This is the best news ever. Wait until I tell Kevin and Sierra then." After dinner, Jake put Emma to bed. It was their nightly ritual. He would read her a story, alternating between human fairy tales and Valkyrie legends. Tonight she wanted to hear about the first queen of Valkar, an ancient ruler who had united the fractured clans thousands of years ago. Jake read in his rough approximation of the Valkyrie language, stumbling over some of the musical tones. Emma giggled at his mistakes, but listened intently to the story. When he finished, she looked up at him with those bright blue eyes. "Dad, do you think I'll be a good queen someday?" Jake stroked her hair, which was darker than human hair, but softer than Valkyrie filaments. "I think you'll be an amazing queen. But that's a long time from now. Right now, you just need to be a kid." "I try," Emma said seriously. "But sometimes people expect things from me because I'm different. The other kids treat me like I'm special." "You are special, sweetheart. But not because you're half alien. You're special because you're kind, and smart, and brave. That's what matters. Emma's skin flickered thoughtful purple. Do you ever wish I was just human, so things would be easier? Jake's heart clenched. He pulled his daughter into a hug. Never. Not for 1 second. You're perfect, exactly as you are. You're the best of both worlds, Emma. Don't ever forget that. She hugged him back tightly, her small arms strong. Through the resonance, Jake felt her love and trust, and it filled him with warmth. When Emma was asleep, Jake returned to his and Liravel's chambers. The rooms were a blend of human and Velkari design. Comfortable furniture alongside living crystal walls that pulsed with gentle light. Liravel was studying reports on her datapad, reviewing planetary production numbers. Always working, Jake said affectionately, sitting beside her. A queen's duty never ends. But she put the datapad aside and leaned against him. Emma asked you about being queen. Did she not? I sensed her uncertainty through the bond. She's worried about being different, about the expectations. She is only 5. She should not have to think about such things yet. Liravel's skin showed troubled purple. Sometimes, I fear we have burdened her with too much. She's strong, Jake said. She'll be fine. We'll make sure of it. They sat in comfortable silence, the resonance humming peacefully between them. After 5 years, they could communicate without words when needed, understanding each other perfectly through the bond. What do you think the future holds? Liravel asked eventually. For our children, for the Alliance, for everything we have built. Jake thought about it carefully. I think Emma and her sibling are just the beginning. Other humans and Velkari will form bonds, have families. The line between our species will blur. In 100 years, maybe there won't be pure humans or pure Velkari anymore. Just people, all of us mixed together. That is a beautiful vision, Liravel said softly. It started with us, Jake said. With a human warrior and an alien queen who accidentally created something wonderful. Now, others will follow. Liravel's skin glowed with hopeful gold. I see a galaxy where our children build bridges between all species, not just our two. Where difference is celebrated, not feared. Where love crosses any boundary. That's worth fighting for, Jake said. We are not fighting anymore, my love. We are building. Jake kissed her gently, feeling the resonance sing with their shared emotions. Love, hope, joy, contentment. They had come so far from that desperate battle 5 years ago. He had been just a soldier then, with no idea his life was about to change forever. Now he was a husband, a father, a bridge between worlds. It was more than he had ever dreamed of, and exactly what he needed. Outside, the purple sky of Zarthena filled with stars. Human ships and Velkari vessels passed overhead in joint patrols, protecting the peace they had built together. In the gardens below, the spot where Emma played held both earth flowers and Velkari crystal blooms growing side by side. The future was uncertain. There would always be new challenges, new threats, new obstacles to overcome. But Jake faced it without fear, because he had his family. Liravel, Emma, and soon a new child who would be loved and cherished just as much. The human warrior had unexpectedly fathered an heir with the alien queen. But he had gained so much more than that. He had found love, purpose, and hope for a future where anything was possible. And as he held his wife close, feeling their daughter's peaceful dreams through the resonance and the new life growing within Liravel, Jake knew that this strange and wonderful journey had only just begun.